So, welcome to the Health Evolution podcast. Today, I'm really excited to be talking to Dr. Liz Fraser, who is a GP in Canberra, and her special guest is Jane, who's coming along today to share her journey and what she's learnt around, her health story and all the things and the information that she's learned, how she's made it work for her. And she's going to share that with us today. So thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Tracey.
Hi, Tracey.
Well, Liz, do you want to start by just sharing with everyone a little bit about your story and why you're here today?
Sure, okay. Well, I'm a GP in Canberra, and I have been a health seeker for many years, and I've got my own health problems, and it's looking in trying to find solutions for my problems that I've developed a much wider perspective on health, and it's that perspective that I bring as a GP. So I'm a standardly trained GP, and I give patients the conventional perspective, but I also give them the broader view. So I'm quite open-minded, and I'll talk about options with them. And diet is definitely part of that. I came across, I guess I've been doing low carb since about 2014 at least. Prior to that, I was at least gluten-free, but in 2014, I did my first really low carbohydrate diet. I actually didn't know what I was doing at the time. In the context of an autoimmune condition. Now, that particular approach didn't work for me, and I ended up going more paleo. Then in early 2018, I was again fishing around for ideas, and came across the Low Carb Down Under site and went along to Sydney's Low Carb Down Under gig in May, and it was life-changing. I saw people like Paul Mason and Doran Scher talk, and I started to read the literature about low carb and realised that this was very relevant to many of my patients. And as we know, about 60% of Australian adults have features of metabolic disease. And this is the bread and butter of general practice: the hypertension, the hypercholesterolemia, the obesity, the arthritis, the fatty liver, all those kinds of conditions. So I have read quite extensively in this area. I also, from early last year, became friends with Tracey Kimberley, who you know. She's a health coach here in Canberra. She's the mum of a young person with type 1 diabetes, and so she's been on a low carb journey herself. And together we set up Low Carb Canberra Facebook group. Now, you can have many opinions about Facebook, but for this kind of thing, it works really, really well. And Low Carb Canberra Facebook is a forum for sharing ideas, information, and getting inspiration. And Tracey and I are the administrators. Our group has grown. We're now over 400 people, and it's a way of supporting the community. One of the things we talked about fairly early on was that people need support on their low carb journey, and often many people will come across low carb ideas on the internet, but when faced with the reality of their partner, their family, their co-workers giving them a hard time, it's hard. That can make it difficult to sustain. So what we wanted to do was set up, build a supportive community. And one of the things we do is we have small get-togethers from time to time. For example, our Low Carb Canberra Christmas party was just a picnic in the park, bring a plate, pretty ordinary stuff that you do in the lead up to Christmas. And somebody commented there that it was really good for her because she could eat everything that was on the picnic table. She didn't have to worry about it. Yep. She didn't have to go, oh, I can't eat that, or, am I going to struggle with craving something that's there that really is not very good for me, that sort of thing. It's a supportive community where you don't have to explain yourself, and there's nobody giving you a hard time. There's no fat phobic comments. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Well, we're going to come back and definitely talk more about that, and obviously the Low Carb Canberra conference that's coming up very soon.
Yes.
But Jane, we would love to hear from you and your story and whatever you're happy to share in terms of your journey in low carb.
Well, my journey probably began in 2016. I'd, earlier than that, come off a lot of medication, stopped all sorts of things. But I thought I'd sit on the couch for a moment, have a cup of tea and a piece of cake. And suddenly a year had gone by and I put on an awful lot of weight. And I'd been putting on weight for years anyway. And then I was sitting in the doctor's office in 2016 to be told that I was morbidly obese. I was 107 kilos. It was all bad. I was looking at medication. I was walking with a stick. I was supposed to have a total knee replacement, riddled with arthritis, sitting on the couch. And I felt awful and I wanted to feel better. And I went home with a plan. I had no idea. And somebody had said to me, fatty liver, go and see Dr. Berg on YouTube. He'll get rid of it for you. So I went Google Dr. Berg on YouTube. He's been my absolute lifesaver for low carb. He introduced me to low carb keto. I'd never heard of it, didn't know what it was, went off, found out about that. The other thing I did was I went to the gym, which I've been a member of anyway, and got a personal trainer. And that, I think, has been another godsend for me because I'm now going twice a week. Since 2000, it was probably late 2016, I went to the gym, discovered a diet, or I thought it was going to be a diet, and then Dr. Berg says, no, it's a lifestyle change. And then in 2017, I really started changing everything. I had to stop pasta, potatoes, bread and rice. They were my staples. And it took me about 6 months to really stop. The potatoes and the bread were so hard, but eventually I got rid of those. And that was my low carb journey. Fabulous doctor all the way through. So far, I've dropped 30 kilos. I took my name off the list to have the total knee replacement. My arthritis is under control. I'm living a fabulous lifestyle. I'm eating better than I ever have. And if I could do just a few little blurbs here. The gym, it's a local gym here, personal trainer. We've been working for 3 years. I've got muscles where I didn't even know people could get muscles, and I'm loving it. Probably about 3 months, he said he saw this gleam in my eye because I felt awful. I felt horrible. I just felt so unhealthy. I just wanted to either take a load of tablets and just keep sitting there, or I had to get up off the couch. So after a while, I started to feel a bit better, and I kept going once a week, every week. And then one day I was lying in bed and I thought, I just don't want to do it. It's so hard. It hurt every week. You know, I was sore and tired, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I could say I've got the flu. And then I thought, no, because I'll probably see him down there. I thought, maybe I could have a cold. And I thought, well, no, I've got a runny nose. I thought, maybe I have measles. No, I don't have spots. And I realised that the only way I could get out of the gym was to say I'd died. Sorry, I can't go into the gym today because I've died. So I knew that wouldn't be a good excuse. So I just got out of bed. And that was it. And apart from the time when I had laryngitis and everybody told me to stop talking, that was a bit of a joke. But I've been going every week. And then the first winter came along. I got winter depression, as I do. And I said to my trainer, Phil Abel, down at Team Fitness at Dixon, I said, Phil, I'm just feeling so depressed and, you know, I've got to change some things. And he said, oh, so you're going to give up your personal training? And I said, no, could I increase it to twice a week? There you go. So I was doing it twice a week, which helped. And then I started doing groups. But as I started to lose weight, the confidence came. And also just the general lifestyle change. And I've never felt so full. I don't get cravings. I don't pick at stuff. Everything I bring into the house is something that I cook myself from scratch. If it's a tin of something, I look at what's in it. Like I just bought some tinned coconut cream today. I was talking to a friend and she said, oh, no, I get this particular brand. And I said, look at what the ingredients, and it had thickener. And, you know, why do you need that in a coconut cream? So I've changed a lot of other people's lives. Look at labels, look at labels. And I just try and do everything from scratch. And again, you know, bit of a blurb. Our local IGA here at Ainslie has been fabulous. They do really good vegetables. They've got a butcher. So I try and get high quality meats and vegetables. And then people say, oh, we can't afford that. That's why we go to Aldi. Like, if you want to feel good and look good, you've got to spend a bit of money. but I'm actually doing it cheaper because I'm not eating as much and I'm not buying as much crap. I mean, I still do occasionally. Lockdown, I started picking up my biscuits, you know, and I know they're no good. And the trouble is, the more I pick up biscuits, because they got sugar and wheat in them, then I start to feel peckish. So I have a few more, and suddenly the biscuits packet's gone. So I don't bring stuff like that into the house, and I'm loving it. And the other thing with going to the gym, my trainer said to me, it's nutrition, hydration, exercise, and rest. And he said, nutrition is 80% of your journey. Now, I thought he was going to say, when you come here, you've got to work for 24 hours a day at the gym for 6 months, and then you'll drop a load of weight and you'll feel really good. And he didn't say that. So that was why I had to go home and start Googling. So that was the beginning of my YouTube journey, really. Dr. Eric Berg saved my life. And then I think it was about a year later, sitting in the doctor's office, have regular blood tests, and the weight's going down, everything's coming good. And then I got the news I didn't have fatty liver anymore. And I just burst into tears. I just absolutely burst into tears. First time in decades, probably, I didn't have fatty liver. And people I meet say, oh, you know, especially if they're older, oh, yeah, we got fatty liver, but, you know, the doctor says that's normal for our age. It's not normal. Nothing's normal when you're overweight and feeling fat. You know, so, and because of building up muscles, my arthritis is in a better place than it ever was. As I said, I've taken my name off the total knee replacement. Yeah, it gives me a bit of jip sometimes, but that's because I'm not controlling my body properly. I've learned balance. I kept falling over. Bang, terrible pains, awful, because I was fat. No sense of balance. So all that's changed as well. But the lifestyle change, I think, was the biggest. Just eating everything properly, just treating it nicely. You know, stuff starting to look a bit old.
Sorry? Can I ask you a question just while you mentioned lifestyle? Sure. So what, in your view, is the difference between a diet and a lifestyle?
A diet is something you're on for a limited amount of time. And in my case, whenever I went on a diet, as soon as I stopped the diet, the weight went up and then some. A lifestyle change is something where I don't feel hungry. I've been doing this for, 3 years now. And I don't feel hungry. I eat when I want to. I eat when I feel like eating. And if I don't feel like eating, and later on I learned that was called intermittent fasting. That was something I just did because I wasn't hungry. Now I had some issues with stomach digestion. Lifestyle change has really settled that. I mean, I never thought I could get up and, drink a slug of apple cider vinegar and lemon juice first thing in the morning. I don't do that in the winter, I must say now, that's changed. But I'll always have a glass of water. One of the people that I followed was Barbara O'Neill from the Mr. Mountains Health Retreat, just again on YouTube, but a friend of mine gave me a set of videos that I borrowed. She was phenomenal in changing my life too. Just being careful what I put in my body. Luckily, I'm not a drinker, so alcohol is not an issue. A lot of people I know that do try and go onto this lifestyle change fail because of alcohol. They just don't want to stop it. Sugar, I've learned how terrible sugar is and what we've done to our bodies through sugar. How in the 1960s, wheat was changed to make it better for the agricultural, the growers, everybody involved. But it was changed to such a degree, we can't process it anymore. Our bodies just can't process it. So then you start getting things like, what's that thing called, with flour? Upset stomachs. Go on. Reflux. Yeah, but also that
irritable bowel
and that sort of stuff. Yeah, an irritable bowel,
leaky gut.
Yeah, from things like that. So, and of course, I think certainly the gym helps. But if you can't get to the gym, I think just walking, getting out in the fresh air, sunshine. That's why I feel so sorry for you guys in Melbourne at the moment. So many people are condemned to their houses, and that must be awful if you don't have access to fresh air and exercise, or even just being out in the open in the sunshine.
So I guess Jane found a number of resources, particularly on the internet, that supported her journey, and she was motivated. I happen to be Jane's GP, and I've seen the numbers. And she certainly has reversed insulin resistance and fatty liver. And
I love that too.
And her triglycerides have come down and her HDL has gone up. So all the biomarkers have improved considerably. And I guess also Jane has told me that she's not super strict. She talked about
the biscuits.
And face planting in a birthday cake.
Literally.
And she chose to do that. And it's been okay. So I guess a lifestyle is something that you can do which is sustainable, which you can continue doing over a long period of time, and is not necessarily a whole lot of strict rules that you struggle with for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm. And I
people
think,
say to me,
no, you go, Jane.
I was just going to say, people say to me sometimes, well, what do you eat? I eat what everybody else eats, except I cook it myself. So I'll have my vegetables, whatever I want, whatever's in season. And for the most part, I like chicken. So I'll do variations on chicken, curry chicken, chili chicken, love my spices. I'll also chop up turmeric, ginger, garlic, jalapenos, love my spices, and I put some black pepper in it, some hot chili powder because I like my spices, a bit of lemon juice, but I put that on the meal. So I'll do, say, if I want a plain meal of, say, coconut chicken or something with the vegetables, and I'll put a slug of that on, and I love it. Just recently, I got some stinging nettles, prickly things from Liz, and I didn't know what to do with it. It smelled like old cabbage, so I boiled it. And then I chopped up about 2 inches or something
Turmeric.
of turmeric, chucked that in, and then it still smelled a bit like cabbage. So I just squeezed some lemon in, whole lemon, chucked that in. Let it just fester there for a couple of hours, strained it out. Looks a bit like urine. But what a difference that made. I couldn't believe it just the last few days. It's just, the arthritis is better again. So every time I turn around, there's something new and I'll try it. And if it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work, but most of it does. And this is the thing, life does go on without weight. Life does go on. One of the things I do occasionally is the old chips or potatoes, but I know it's a treat. It's nothing but a treat. So if I look at it as, I could do that every week. No, you can't. But as a treat, it's okay. But I did find when I had my birthday last year, my 60th, I had the cake. And it was lovely. It was really lovely. But the sugar hit was a bit, it was like your heart was going. And that's what I find now with sugar or anything sweet. Or if I have too much flour, that's what happens. Thinking of going carnivore, but I do like my turmeric, garlic, ginger and jalapenos. And so I don't think but I certainly eat a lot more meat than I used to, but I'm very careful with what meat I do get. As I said, grass-fed beef, organic chicken, things like that. Just very careful. And our local IGA, they do Jersey milk, Jersey cream. I mean, love that.
Mine does that too. I found during the week. It's yummy.
It's just unbelievable. So things like that, that's what I do. And, it's so funny. I went out with a friend shopping and he's looking at my basket saying, oh, gosh, you'll be putting on weight there. And I thought, well, I've just lost over 30 kilos and I'm looking good, feeling good. The other thing too is, of course, friends. Doctors help me. But friends, supportive friends. And one particular friend, my little friend Rachel, she's been following my journey. So I've gone from a size 22 down to size 12. And she's followed me and helped me decrease my clothes. And she says, stop wearing that, sacks. She said, wear clothes that fit you. And that's what I'm doing now. And it's, it's difficult, but I do feel good. And I'm glad I've got people like that in my life, wear clothes that fit you. And it's sort of funny, every time I've gone down. And the other thing with the gym was I said to Phil, my personal trainer, I don't want to lose weight and have bits hanging off me. I just want to lose a bit of weight, saggy bits. I didn't want saggy bits like a big stomach that comes down to your knees because you lost so much weight so quickly. I didn't want that. And he said, well, we can exercise that away. And he was right. It just involves exercise too, and lots of water too, lots of water. And also salt.
And autophagy, I think.
Autophagy, love the autophagy.
Jane discovered autophagy and came in one day and started talking about autophagy. So all this information, all this information is available to people if they just go looking for it. One of the things we're trying to do through Low Carb Canberra is make that information more readily available to the community. So I post some of the studies that I've come across. I encourage people to talk to their doctor and actually take in some of these studies and show it to them. We post videos, links to other low carb or keto sites. Mike Mutzel, Paul Mason, Low Carb Down Under, various people who are doing interesting work. We're just small local fish, and but there's lots of information out there, and I guess what we're trying to do is for our local community provide that information and let people know that there's different ways of seeing things. They can do things differently, and we'll support them on their journey. We're a safe place to talk about low carb and keto issues, and we're not strict. We don't have rules. We're not going to kick you out if or post something like that's got sweet potato mash, for example. People post in their recipes, and it's inspiring. I'll give you a couple of examples if that's okay. A member is starting a fast, and she asked other people for support, and so there's now a bunch of people who are going to be fasting together in the next few days. A mum of a girl with a 10-year-old with type 1 diabetes posted that her daughter was sneaking food and it was sending her sugars right off, and she asked the community for ideas, and the community did what the community does best, which is respond with helpful comments, which was just great to watch it unfold. There's another fellow who's an type 1 who is diagnosed as an adult, and he doesn't cook. He's never cooked, so he knows that low carb is really great for his blood glucose, but he doesn't really know what to do. Well, he's found support from people on the community, and the other day he posted a recipe, and then he posted his picture of the burgers that he made. I think that's just fabulous.
Amazing. Yeah.
I guess Low Carb Canberra is focusing on local people, but because we're based on Facebook, anybody can join. It doesn't matter where you are. And Low Carb Canberra conference coming up on September 19 and 20, we're doing it online. When we started planning this, COVID had just started, and we didn't know where we were going to be in September. Now, as it is, Canberra's COVID-free for the moment, but we've chosen to do this as an online conference. But the thing that we're going to do is get as many of the speakers together as we can in the venue and have interaction and panel discussions. So people who purchase a ticket will be able to watch online, but actually in the venue where we're having the conference, we will have individuals presenting their talks. And in between, we've actually got some panel discussions addressing things like family-friendly low carb. How can a busy working mum make this happen, work with her family? We're also going to have a panel on creating change. How do we deal with unhelpful comments from friends and family and co-workers? And what are we each doing to, I guess, bring change into the community? So the themes for the conference is questions, controversies, community, and creating change. We want listeners, participants to send in their questions, and we hope to have an interactive system up that you can ask, put questions to the speakers. We're going to explore some of the controversies both within the low carb community. For example, Richard Morris will be talking about things like carb cycling, protein versus fat, some of those things that can get people in the community all riled up. You know, we're not pretending that we've got all the answers, and as you say, it's often what works for an individual. Some people are going to need more fat, other people will do better with higher protein, for example. So questions, controversies, community, that's a really important part of it. And also talking about creating change and how do we sustain change. So one of our local group members is a change psychologist, Michelle Austin, and she's going to give a talk on why it's so difficult to change.
But everyone's changeable too, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's often a matter of being patient and working with someone. Because I work with individuals, and I know that there are some people that you just can't push. But others, one lady who I diagnosed, I thought she was a type 2 diabetic. She was diagnosed at the age of 70-something. Turns out she's actually a LADA, a latent autoimmune diabetes of adulthood. But all I did was mention ketosis, and I gave her basic information, the half-hour basic talk. And she came back 4 months later and her HbA1c had dropped dramatically, and she said she felt really good. And I said, oh, what did you do? She said, I went keto. And I said, how did you do that? She said, I bought a recipe book.
Fabulous.
She already knew how to cook, and that's all she had to do was make those changes. And for her it was simple, whereas I know for other people they really do struggle. One lady that I see spends a lot of time with her family, and quite frankly I think her family is a pretty toxic environment. And they're all terribly obese, and they all eat pretty much what you'd expect, ice cream, pizza, pasta, that kind of thing. She finds it really difficult, and I get that. So I have to take a very different approach with someone in those circumstances.
Absolutely. I love that. It's such a conversation that we need to create more of, because I guess it's about awareness, isn't it? And you get people coming to you, I would imagine. I know we've talked about this before, Liz, that, you'll suggest change, lifestyle change, and they're just not interested. They're just like, no, just give me the pill. And, what can you do? I mean, apart from just keeping your door open, and being who you are and being there, and there's nothing else you really, can do. So it's but creating what you're creating with Low Carb Canberra and now the conference, I think that's just a platform where it's a safe place. It's a platform of possibilities. You can come here and maybe you'll see something you hadn't seen, or maybe something else will come up, or
some little snippet of information, or some inspiration, some idea which might well come from someone that you don't know, but you've just seen their stuff on Facebook or found their stuff on YouTube. And we've just got to keep getting the message out there and be consistent and be available to people in their process. Yeah, keep the door open.
But I think also too, a lot of people want to give up, especially as you get older. I meet so many people that, think that it's okay to be obese because they're over 60 and it's too hard, too difficult, can't do it. And they have medication, they feel worse, they get fatter, and it just keeps going and going. And you say, but it's normal at this age. It's never normal. When you're obese, it doesn't matter what age it is. But you've just got to have that will to get up and feel better. And that's what I did. And I do feel better. And I try and encourage people around me, and people that have known me for a long time see all these changes. And that's the thing. I think sometimes it confronts people because they sort of think, but, I've got high blood pressure, I need to take a tablet. And they look at me, who did have high blood pressure, who probably should have had a tablet, but I just got to the gym and changed my lifestyle of eating. And it can be done. This is the thing. And it's simple. As I said, it's the best. And then I think what's, breaking my heart at the moment is, with the COVID, with the shutdown, and you're able to have a door-to-door of McDonald's and KFC, and it's just building so many more new obese people, because that's it. And the trouble is, for what people are spending on takeaways and, pizzas and ice cream, eating so much better and feeling so much better. This is why I try and say to people, you know, it's not just a lifestyle change, it's a whole emotional, spiritual, mental, everything change.
And it may be simpler than you realise, and I think that's the thing that you found, that you, at one point it just appeared too hard and you were ready to give up, and it would have been easy to give up. But actually when you did it, it was simpler than you realised.
It was just so easy, and people were all put up, but you know, we're all short of time, but you know, there's just so much at the moment. You know, you've got slow cookers, you've got air cookers, you've got every type of kitchen equipment you could possibly think of, and people say, oh, but I don't have much time.
No, until you get past those buts, nothing's going to change. That's the thing. It's really just getting past those buts. But you know, that's a natural reaction I think people do have. And you know, I guess one of the ways I'm different with you, Liz, because obviously I'm not a doctor, but I'm a coach. So I generally get people who are motivated to change. They come and see me because they've already got that motivation to change, but it still doesn't make it easy. There's still a lot of things that will come up around the buts, or I can't do that, or oh no, I can't, I've never done that, can't do that. And I think, as you say, it's simple, but it's about breaking it down too. Sometimes we want to look at the whole mountain and it's like, oh geez, you know, there's no way I could climb to the top. I'm like, you don't need to climb to the top. Let's just start with base camp. Let's get to one step. You know, when you can break it down and do it step by step, as you did, Liz. You know, you said, sorry, Jane, you said, you know, was it the bread and something else?
Bread and potatoes.
Yeah, but that's okay. So you must have taken a whole lot of other stuff out first before, you know, you got to that point, which is okay, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And I acknowledge as well, my own journey has taken, has been going since at least 2012. And back in 2012, I remember being aware of this alternative approach, you know, get off dairy to get off wheat. And I kind of rolled my eyes and said, no, I'm never doing that. Well, I did. But I continued to be fat phobic, and probably even after I started, got in contact with Low Carb Down Under and started reading the literature, I still struggled with that fat phobia. And it's taken a long time to get to the point where I can actually eat the fat on the chop and actually really enjoy it and not feel guilty. There's a lot of headology in that. So I would encourage people to keep engaged in the low carb community and keep looking. There's lots of people out there like yourself doing broadcasts, and find somebody that you can connect with. Jane found Dr. Berg, and that really worked for her. Recently, I guess I've discovered Ken Berry, and I really love Ken Berry because he's a doctor and he's had lots of experience.
And he's carnivore.
And he's smart, and he knows the studies. He makes sense to me. So find something that makes sense for you.
But also, I think too, I was just saying, a big support is having a GP that believes in what you're doing. There's a lot of GPs out there who do not like this whole low carb approach, and they won't deal with it at all. So I was very lucky. But also, having those supports around you, and also with the personal training. And this happens in the rest of the life as well now, is personal training. I'll say to Phil, you know, oh, I can't do that. And he looks at me and I went, no, I can't do that. It'll be too hard. And he looks at me and I do it. And that's the other thing, is having somebody that believes in you, that trusts in you, that knows it's going to be okay. And that's what I love about personal training too. He challenges me. Well, he challenges me to challenge myself.
That's it.
And that's the other thing this whole journey is doing, is increasing my confidence. Just
beautiful.
Putting things in perspective, you know, bringing things down. Keep it simple. I say to people, if they're thinking of doing keto, keep it simple. Food doesn't have to be complicated. It really doesn't have to be complicated. Just keep it simple.
Lovely. Well, maybe to finish up, you could both share your top tips on people who are sitting here listening and who are obviously going to now join Low Carb Canberra and going to come along to the conference and hear some amazing speakers. But what would be your tips for people sitting there with that curiosity to change but just don't really know where to start? Maybe you, Jane, first. Did you want to go first?
I would suggest the first thing to do is to get up out of your chair, just go and stand at your front door if it's open to the world, and just ask yourself what you want to do. And if you want to change your life and you feel that you're at the point where you want to change your life, then if you have a good doctor, go and see a doctor, or go to YouTube, check out keto, or if you're on Facebook or you can do, some local activity, go to your low carb. So I'd say anybody that can do Low Carb Canberra, go there, because it's a fabulous site, fabulous community. And I was at the Christmas party and I had lemon cheesecake, keto style. Oh, no guilt. So, yeah, and there was stuff that you could eat at the table. I'd forgotten that. But there's a lot of things that you can do that people, I don't know, just get past your butts. That's my advice. And get help. Dr. Liz.
Oh, look, I wish I had something short and clever to say. I don't. I think reach out, get support. Don't do it alone. You don't have to be alone. And that's why Low Carb Canberra is here. Mutual support. Yeah. We help each other. Yep.
Well, that sounded pretty short and clever to me, Dr. Liz. So maybe just a little bit, speakers. Can you name some of the speakers who are going to be at Low Carb Canberra?
Yes, we're starting off with Richard Morris. Most of us will know Richard Morris from his work on the 2 Keto Dudes, and he's I was blown away when I discovered that Richard Morris lived a couple of suburbs away from me and was studying biochemistry at ANU. Go, Richard. Peter Bruckner is our big star speaker. He won't be joining us in Canberra. We'll be streaming him in live from Melbourne, hopefully. We have Jessica Turton and Tom Parvola. I hope I've said his name right. They're dietitians in Sydney, and Jessica spoke at Low Carb Canberra conference last year and is very highly respected. We have Tara Whelan. Tara is a local girl. She's a pharmacist, a diabetes educator, and a young mum who lives with type 1 and has done since the age of 20. She's got a fantastic story. She's a dynamo presenter. She'll be talking about her interest in women's health, including PCOS and fertility. We have Melissa Luxmore. She's a local naturopath with an interest in gut health. She and I are both going to give our perspectives on fibre. That's going to be one of the controversies. I'm going to present a talk on does fibre matter, and are low carb diets necessarily low fibre? And I think we know they can be low fibre, no fibre, or high fibre. And does fibre matter? Well, perhaps I won't say anything more. Another local GP, Dr. Mel Deary, is going to talk about her experience treating people with diabetes in general practice. On day 2, which is Sunday the 20th, we'll start with a type 1 session. So Tracey Kimberley, Tara Whelan, and some other people with an interest in type 1 are going to talk about using the low carb approach and making it practical. And they're going to start with a breakfast and demonstrate how you can make simple low carb breakfasts which don't bust your blood sugar.
Yeah, fantastic.
Jessica Turton again talking about salt. We're going to have a session on neuromytoketos, so the connection between ketosis and brain health, and I'm going to talk about Alzheimer's disease. Melissa Luxmore is going to talk about epilepsy. She also happens to be the mum of a child with quite severe epilepsy. And Brodie Camburn, who's a exercise physiologist from the Nowra region and the work that she's doing with her Brain Fit group. We also have a couple of speakers going to address the bigger picture. Sam Johnson from Box Gum Grazing is going to talk about his journey as a regenerative farmer.
Oh, fabulous.
And Charlie Bloomer is going to talk about, I guess, the bigger picture of health. He's a local health statistician and epidemiologist, and I feed him low-carb food, and he's going to share with us. He's a polymath who reads widely, so he's going to share some of his insights about food production and food distribution. So
Fantastic.
that will be a bit, it's a big program.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. Well, I'm going to have all the information everyone needs below to buy a ticket and not miss out, and obviously still to join Low Carb Canberra Facebook page and get in on the action there. So thank you both for coming along today and sharing your knowledge and your insight and wisdom. It's all, such a big thing we can do is just keep sharing our stories so people can see what's possible out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Tracey. It's been great.
Yep, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.